Hi, I'm Allison, and this is Learning Literature. I have a special guest with me today. It's my son, Jackson.
Hi.
He and I are going to be discussing A Tale of Two Cities. If you have any pieces that you would like me or us to talk about, feel free to put it in the comments. Jackson and I just finished this book, and I think the big question at the end of it is, does Sydney Carton sacrifice?
And I feel like by the most common meaning, yes, he did.
We looked up the word sacrifice in a few different dictionaries, and the Merriam-Webster's was pretty standard for all of them.
It says sacrifice is the act of giving up or losing something of value for the sake of something else.
My concern with this definition is that it's very vague about the something else that you're getting in return. It doesn't tell us if what you're gaining is of greater value or lesser value than what you're giving up. And I think it really matters. You give up something all the time. Every time you go to the store, you give up some money. But you do that because you think the things you're buying are of greater value to you. So that's not a sacrifice, it's a trade or just a purchase. Or if your friends ask you to hang out over the weekend and you know that you have a big test and a class you really care about next week, you might give up the time with your friends, but that's not a sacrifice. You're investing in your future because you think your success in this class is particularly important to you.
I know I often give my old toys to my 4-year-old cousin Benji. And while I could still play with them and get a little bit of fun out of it, I get more fun out of seeing him enjoy them. You know, the big smile on the toddler's face. So cute.
That example really resonates with me because people talk all the time about what a sacrifice parenting is. And it's true, you do have to give up a lot of money and time and energy. But ideally, what you're gaining in return is of greater value. You might particularly enjoy the time spent with your children or gain joy from seeing them flourish in their own activities. So that can just be a trade. There's no reason to assume that it's a sacrifice.
And I feel like on this kind of meaning of the word, Carton didn't sacrifice. He's giving up his life, which he clearly doesn't value much, for Lucy's happiness and Arne's life, which clearly seem valuable.
And what you said there, that Carton doesn't value his own life much, is pretty important here. We had the same response every time we finished a Carton chapter. That was so
They're
sad.
heartbreaking. You know, the wasted potential that they keep talking about, how he was going to be a great lawyer, and then just became a drunkard. There's that one scene where he's called a jackal because he's picking off the scraps of the more prominent lawyers.
All of that makes a really sharp contrast to Lucy's life, which is generally improving throughout the book. She's reunited with her father, she falls in love, they start a family. And that helps us to start to understand Carton's perspective when he is confessing his love to Lucy. Oh, Miss Manette, when the little picture of a happy father's face looks up in yours, when you see your own bright beauty springing up anew at your feet, think now and then that there is a man who would give his life to keep a life you love beside you. Knowing the ending of the book, it's pretty obvious foreshadowing. And it also helps us to really see Carton's perspective. He loves Lucy so much and values his own life so little that he would be happy to give up his life to help Lucy's be better.
This is one way that I don't really relate to Carton at all, because I wouldn't give up my life for anyone.
That kind of proves Dickens's point, I think, because you're young and your life is full of potential values that you will hopefully enjoy. So the fact that you would not give it up and Carton would comes down to the fact that you both value your lives really differently. For you to give up your life would be a sacrifice.
He doesn't really have anything good left in life.
And he knows it. And that makes it even sadder. At the end of the book, when he has already made the decision to die for Darnay, he's talking to Mr. Lorry. If you could say with truth to your own solitary heart tonight, I have secured to myself the love and attachment, the gratitude or respect of no human creature. I have won myself a tender place in no regard. I have done nothing good or serviceable to be remembered by. Your 78 years would be 78 heavy curses, would they not?
Such a sad quote.
It is. He's so obviously talking about himself here and seeing his own 40 something years as heavy curses. So he thinks the only value he can find in his life is to do something good or serviceable to be remembered by.
And it's really nice at the end. We see Carton seeing Lucy, her grandchildren. She's prospering, and he's being remembered.
Even though it might not be incredibly realistic, I think in a book it really works. And as a reader, I wanted to see what happened to Lucy and Darnay. So it lets me have the ending I wanted, and it lets Carton see the success of his actions. Even without seeing that, though, the narrator tells us that as Carton is walked up to the guillotine, they said of him about the city that night that it was the peacefulest man's face ever beheld there. Many added that he looked sublime and prophetic. Carton is happy with the choice that he has made. It's what's best for him. Okay, this is a side point. It's just something I really like about this book. Very early, you learn that Carton looks incredibly similar to Darnay. It's at the first trial when Darnay is being charged with treason. And it's kind of cool. It's a trial drama. And I think when it happens, you kind of shrug and think, oh, weird coincidence. You don't realize that the author is going to bring that back 30 something chapters later with enormous plot consequences. I love when that stuff happens in a book. You don't even realize that you're waiting to see the payoff of something, and then it really matters.
It's super fun.
So tell us what you think. Did Carton really sacrifice, or was it just a trade?
Please like the video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more book analysis.